emerging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. My name is Todd D. Goldfinger, and here's today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. New York City officials are planning to remove makeshift shelters set up by homeless people on city streets, mirroring similar efforts in another liberal metropolises that had previously tolerated the encampments. Mayor Eric Adams disclosed the initiative in an interview with the New York Times on Friday, but provided few details. Comes a month after he announced a push to remove homeless people from the city's sprawling subway system in response to assaults and other aggressive behavior. Quotes, We're going to rid the encampments off our street, and we're going to place people in healthy living conditions with wraparound services, end quotes, he told the Times. In quotes, I'm telling my city agencies to do an analysis block by block, district by district, identify where the encampments are, and execute a plan to give services to the people who are in the encampments, then to dismantle those encampments, end quotes. Adams did not say where people living in the encampments would go, and acknowledged officials cannot force anyone to go to a homeless shelter. He expected the effort to begin within 2 weeks. In quotes, we can't stop an individual from sleeping on the street based on law. And we're not going to violate that law, end quotes, he said. In quotes, but you can't build a miniature house made out of cardboard on the streets. That's inhumane. Next news. A masked gunman opened fire in a suburban Chicago shopping mall, leaving one man dead and wounding at least one other person. A teenage girl who was found in a washroom after shoppers ran for cover, police said. The gunman, in his mid-20s, opened fire just after 7 p.m. Friday, near the food court at the fashion outlets of Chicago Mall in Rosemont, a village just northwest of the city, Rosemont Police Sergeant Joe Balog told the Chicago Tribune on Saturday. Police did not release a motive for the shooting, but said it was a targeted attack. The gunman then fled in a car with other unknown subjects, he said. More than 2 hours after the shooting, police stopped the vehicle on an expressway in Chicago, Balog said. The car's owner was taken into custody and was being questioned as a person of interest, he said. The gun was seized as evidence, but no charges have been announced. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the man who died as Joel Valdez, 20, of Skokie. A 15-year-old girl who was shot in the right wrist was in stable condition, Alok said. Officials said earlier that a third person was shot and ran away, but Alok said no other victims had been found as of Saturday afternoon. Next news. Pushed by Republicans to conduct partisan ballot reviews similar to the one that unfolded last year in Arizona has spread beyond the battleground states where former President Donald Trump disputed his loss. An effort that has had mixed legislative success, but has sown doubts about whether future elections can be trusted. While most of the bills are unlikely to become law, the debates and public hearings in GOP-controlled state legislative chambers have added fuel to the false claims that widespread fraud cost Trump the re-election in 2020. In quotes, "They're really tearing down democracy, and they don't think they are," said Scott McDonald, the election clerk in Dane County, Wisconsin, home to the state capitol. The proposals come after flawed Republican-ordered reviews in Arizona and Wisconsin, where GOP lawmakers gave the job of examining the previous election to partisan actors. In Arizona, the contract went to a Florida-based firm with no previous experience in election audits, but with a CEO who had expressed support for conspiracy theories surrounding the 2020 presidential results. In Wisconsin, the Republican leader of the state assembly appointed a retired state Supreme Court justice who declared the election stolen even before he began his review. Next news. A foster care director, a plastics plant manager, and an IT employee are among the 12 jurors and 4 alternates hearing testimony at the trial of 4 men charged with plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer in 2020. As a security precaution, U.S. District Judge Robert Jonker in Grand Rapids allowed only attorneys to see jurors' names and their written questionnaires. But jurors referred to in court by assigned numbers discussed their backgrounds during the public portion of jury selection. Here's a look at the jurors and what they said. Not all mentioned their professions. Among those who did was juror number 163, who is a casino compliance officer. Juror number 227 is a project manager at a printing company. Juror number 69 said she is a retiree who ran a sewing business. The foster care director is juror number 211. The IT employee is number 115, and the plastics plant manager is number 201. We're going to take a break from the daily English global news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. President Joe Biden intends to propose a spending plan for the 2023 budget year that would cut projected deficits by more than $1 trillion over the next decade, according to a fact sheet released Saturday by the White House Budget Office. In his proposal expected Monday, the lower deficits reflect the economy's resurgences as the United States emerges from the pandemic, as well as likely tax law changes that would raise more than enough revenue to offset additional investments planned by the Biden administration. It's a sign that the government's balance sheet will improve after a historic burst of spending to combat the coronavirus. The fading of the pandemic and the growth has enabled the deficit to fall from $3.1 trillion in fiscal 2020 to $2.8 trillion last year and a projected $1.4 trillion this year. That deficit spending paid off in the form of the economy expanding at a 5.7% pace last year, the strongest growth since 1984. But inflation at a 40-year high also accompanied those robust gains as high prices have weighed on Biden's popularity. For the Biden administration, the proposal for the budget year that begins October 1st shows that the burst of spending helped to fuel growth and put government finances in a more stable place for years to come as a result. One White House official, insisting on anonymity because the budget has yet to be released, said the proposal shows that Democrats can deliver on what Republicans have promised before without much success: faster growth and falling deficits. Next news. In a forceful speech in Warsaw, denouncing Russia's Vladimir Putin and praising Ukrainians, President Joe Biden on Saturday also appeared to have a more subtle message for his Polish hosts. Speaking of a, in quotes, perennial struggle for democracy, Biden mentioned the rule of law and freedom of the press among the principles essential in a free society. He made his remarks in a speech attended by President Andrzej Duda and his conservative political allies in the ruling Law and Justice Party since they won power in 2015. They have been accused by the European Union of eroding the rule of law with changes that have given the party vast new powers over the judicial branch of government. Biden paid homage to Poland's long struggle for democracy in his speech that he delivered at the Royal Castle, which, like most of Warsaw, was destroyed by the occupying Nazi German forces during World War II and was later rebuilt. Next news. In Donald Trump's push to fundamentally reshape the Republican Party, few places are a higher priority than Georgia. The former president has issued highly coveted endorsements in races ranging from governor to state insurance commissioner. His backing of football legend Herschel Walker essentially cleared a path to the party's nomination for a critical U.S. Senate seat. Trump has taken a particularly active role in shaping the governor's race, recruiting former Senator David Perdue to challenge incumbent Brian Kemp as retribution for Kemp not going along with the lies about the 2020 election being stolen. And in an effort to clear a path for Perdue, Trump pressed another Republican in the race, Vernon Jones, to run for Congress instead. Trump returned to Georgia on Saturday night for a rally ahead of the state's May 24th primary to try to boost Purdue in a campaign that is emerging as a early critical test of whether the former president can live up to his professed role as a kingmaker in the GOP. In quotes, he says, before we can defeat the Democrat socialists and communists, we first have to defeat the rhino sellouts and the losers in the primaries in the spring, end quotes, Trump told the crowd, lacing into Kemp again and again as he accused him of betraying Republican voters with the derisive acronym, in quotes, Republican in name only. Next news. Reports that the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas implored Donald Trump's White House chief of staff to act to overturn the 2020 election results have put a spotlight on how justices decide whether to step aside from a case. Individual justices make their own unreviewable calls on a court that lacks a code of ethics. And the issue is not always clear, particularly when spouses also have prominent careers. While the Supreme Court did not step into any election cases brought by Trump and other Republicans, Justice Thomas took part in the consideration of whether to hear those cases. He also was the lone vote to keep House lawmakers investigating the January 6th Capitol riot from obtaining contested White House documents. Thomas did not immediately respond Friday to requests for comment made through the court's spokeswoman. Earlier in the day, the court announced he had been discharged from the hospital after a stay of nearly a week while he was treated for an infection. We're going to take a short break from the daily English global news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back. Here's Millennium News 24, continuation of today's top stories. Widely seen as Russian President Vladimir Putin's closest ally in the European Union, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has sought to assert Hungary's neutrality in the war in Ukraine. Even as his allies in the EU and NATO assist the embattled country and punish Russia for launching the largest armed conflict in Europe since World War II. Orbán, who faces a difficult election on April 3rd, has refused to supply Ukraine with military aid, alone among Ukraine's EU neighbors and has not allowed lethal weapons to be shipped to Ukraine across Hungary's borders, arguing that providing such assistance to Ukraine would draw Hungary into the war. Orban, while avoiding ever mentioning Putin by name, has portrayed himself as the defender of his country's peace and security while insisting that EU sanctions against Russia not be extended to its energy sector, of which Hungary is a major beneficiary. In quotes. The answer to the question of which side Hungary is on is that Hungary is on Hungary's side, Orban wrote Saturday on social media. Next news. Ukraine's president called Saturday on energy-rich nations to increase their production of oil and natural gas to counteract the loss of Russian supplies amid sanctions over Moscow's war on his country. Volodymyr Zelensky made a surprise video appearance at Qatar's Doha Forum, an annual summit in the gas-rich nation that will host the 2022 FIFA World Cup later this year. It's part of a rhetorical offensive of addresses he's given around the world since the start of the war, February 24th, 2022. Zelensky asked countries to increase their energy exports, something particularly important as Qatar is a world leader in the export of natural gas. Western sanctions have deeply cut into Russian exports, which are crucial for European nations. In quotes, the responsible states, in particular the state of Qatar, is reliable and reputable suppliers of energy resources, end quotes, Zelensky said. In quotes, and you can contribute to stabilizing the situation in Europe. There is much that can be done to restore justice, end quotes. He added, in quotes, the future of Europe depends on your efforts. I urge you to increase energy production to make Russia understand that no state should use energy as a weapon and to blackmail the world, end quotes. Next news. Next news. Russian rockets struck the western Ukrainian city of Lviv on Saturday while President Joe Biden visited neighboring Poland. A reminder that Moscow is willing to strike anywhere in Ukraine despite its claim to be focusing its offensive on the country's east. The back-to-back airstrikes shook the city that has become a haven for an estimated 200,000 people who have had to flee their hometowns. Lviv had been largely spared since the invasion began, although missiles struck an aircraft repair facility near the main airport a week ago. Among the many who sought refuge in Lviv was Olana Ukrainets, a 34-year-old IT worker from the northeastern city of Kharkiv. In quotes, when I came to Lviv, I was sure that all these alarms wouldn't have any results. Ukrainians told the Associated Press from a bomb shelter after the blasts. In quotes, sometimes when I heard them at night, I just stayed in bed. Today I changed my mind, and I should hide every time. None of the Ukrainian cities are safe now, end quotes. Next news. Nights are spent huddling underground from Russian strikes pounding their encircled city into rubble. Daylight hours are devoted to hunting down drinkable water and braving the risk of standing in line for the little food available as shells and bombs rain down. In the second month of Russia's invasion, this is what now passes for life in Chernihiv, a besieged city in northern Ukraine where death is everywhere. It isn't yet quite as synonymous with atrocious human suffering as the pulverized southern city of Mariupol, but similarly blockaded and pounded from afar by Russian troops, Chernihiv's remaining residents are terrified that each blast bomb and body that lies uncollected on the streets and snares them in the same macabre trap of unescaped killings and destruction. In quotes. In basements at night, everyone is talking about one thing: Chernihiv becoming the next Mariupol, end quotes, said 38-year-old resident Ihar Kazmerchak, a linguistic scholar. He spoke to the Associated Press by cell phone amid incessant beeps signaling that his battery was dying. Cities without power, running water, and heating. At pharmacies, the lists of medicines no longer available grow longer by the day. We're going to take a short break from the daily English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. The Saudi-led coalition fighting Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen unleashed a barrage of airstrikes on the capital and a strategic Red Sea city, officials said Saturday. At least 8 people were killed. The overnight airstrikes on Sana'a and Hodeidah, both held by the Houthis, came a day after the rebels attacked an oil depot in the Saudi city of Jeddah, the highest profile assault yet on the kingdom. Brig General Turki al-Malki, a spokesman for the Saudi-led coalition, said the strikes targeted sources of threat to Saudi Arabia, according to the state-run Saudi press agency, or SPA. He said the coalition intercepted and destroyed 2 explosives-laden drones early Saturday. He said the drones were launched from Houthi-held civilian oil factories in Hodeidah, urging civilians to stay away from oil facilities in the city. Footage circulated online showed flames and plumes of smoke over Sana'a and Hodeidah. Associated Press journalists in the Yemeni capital heard loud explosions that rattled residential buildings there. Next news. Afghanistan's Taliban rulers refused to allow dozens of women to board several flights, including some overseas, because they were traveling without a male guardian. 2 Afghan airline officials said Saturday. The officials, who spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of repercussions from the Taliban, said dozens of women who arrived at Kabul's international airport Friday to board domestic and international flights were told they couldn't do so without a male guardian. Some of the women were dual nationals returning to their homes overseas, including some from Canada, according to one of the officials. Women were denied boarding on flights to Islamabad, Dubai, and Turkey on Cam Air and the state-owned Ariana Airline, said the officials. The order came from the Taliban leadership, said one official. By Saturday, some women traveling alone were given permission to board by Ariana Airlines flight to Western Herat province, the official said. However, by the time the permission was granted, they had missed their flight, he said. The airport's president and police chief, both from the Taliban movement and both Islamic clerics, were meeting Saturday with airline officials. Next news. As coronavirus infections rise in some parts of the world, experts are watching for a potential new COVID-19 surge in the US and wondering how long it will take to detect. Despite disease monitoring improvements over the last 2 years, they say some recent developments don't bode well. As more people take rapid COVID-19 tests at home, few people are getting the gold standard tests that the government relies on for case counts. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will soon use fewer labs to look for new variants. Health officials are increasingly focused on hospital admissions, which rise only after a surge has arrived. A wastewater surveillance program remains a patchwork that cannot yet be counted on for the data needed to understand coming surges. White House officials say the government is running out of funds for vaccines, treatments, and testing. In quotes, "We're not in a great situation," said Jennifer Nuzzo, a Brown University pandemic researcher. Scientists acknowledge that the wide availability of vaccines and treatments put the nation in a better place than when the pandemic began, and that monitoring has come a long way. For example, scientists this week touted a 6-month-old program that tests international travelers flying into 4 U.S. airports. Genetic testing of a sample on December 14th turned up a coronavirus variant, the descendant of Omicron known as BA.2, 7 days earlier than any other reported detection in the U.S. Next news. The Arizona legislature on Thursday joined the growing list of Republican-led states to pass aggressive anti-abortion legislation as the conservative U.S. Supreme Court is considering ratcheting back abortion rights that have been in place for nearly 50 years. The House voted on party lines to outlaw abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy, mirroring a Mississippi law now being considered by the nation's high court. The bill explicitly says it does not overrule a state law in place for more than 100 years. That would ban abortion outright if the Supreme Court overrules Roe versus Wade, the 1973 case that enshrined the right to abortion in law. The bill now goes to Republican Governor Doug Ducey, an abortion opponent who has signed every piece of anti-abortion legislation that has reached his desk since he took office in 2015. Florida lawmakers passed a similar 15-week abortion ban early this month that Republican Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to sign. A bill in West Virginia failed to pass the state Senate by the time its legislative session ended earlier this month after passing the House. This has been the daily global news update of Millennium News TV 24/7. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us. Please log in to get the latest news on all our social networking sites: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers, now on both network broadcasting, Android, and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Also, all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our entertainment and latest news and views. Our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA Android, Millennium News Google. Also, www.millenniumnews24.com. Stay with Millennium News 24/7. Thank you, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Peace.